I'm Stephen Taylor, and welcome to day 4 of this 10-day beginner drum starter chorus challenge. Remember, for 10 days, we're showing up, watching the lesson for that day, and then playing the drums at least 10 minutes each day. And if you do that, by the end of the 10 days, you're gonna have all the information you need to play 20 songs on the drums. Just in the first 3 lessons, we've learned 8 songs. And I'm really excited about this lesson because you're about to learn your very first drum fill. This drum fill is found in countless songs, so much so that it's had a name put to it. The one that comes to mind the most is November Rain by Guns N' Roses. It's all over that song. And then we've got More Than a Feeling by Boston. I've wrote a bunch of them down. I Will Be Found by John Mayer, Built to Last by the Grateful Dead, Eye of the Tiger, Give Me One Reason by Tracy Chapman, Breathe by Faith Hill. All of these songs have this drum fill called Pat Boone Debbie Boone. And some of you are like, what's the Pat Boone Debbie Boone? As soon as I play it, you're gonna be like, oh, that's the Pat Boone Debbie Boone. Yeah, it's played like it sounds. Pat Boone, Debbie Boone. This is called a mnemonic device where we use a saying to sound like what we're learning on the drums. I use them all the time. And some of the drum rhythms we have, paradiddle, it's a mnemonic device. So we know the importance of this drum fill. Let's go ahead and learn it. It's gonna be on beats 3 and 4. So it's gonna go 3 and 4E and. Now, that new term is new, right? 4E. We haven't said that before. Whenever we're counting, we remember we have quarter notes. There's 4 of those to every measure in 4/4 time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes, there's 8 of those in every measure and 2 of them for every quarter note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The E and the Us, that's going to be 16th notes. And we count those 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. But we don't need all of those for this drum fill. We simply need 3 and 4E and. Okay, before we go putting this with a drum beat, which is the natural next thing we need to do, just know that you can also play this drum fill around different voicings and around the toms. So for instance, in November Rain by Guns N' Roses, you'll hear it a ton on the toms where it's like real epic, real big. Or maybe something like this. The pattern stays the same, and I would still refer to it as a Pat Boone Debbie Boone. Okay, now we need to be able to play it with a drum beat. So let's take the drum beat from day 1. 1 on the kick drum, 2 on the snare drum. What we're gonna do is play beats 1 and 2 with the groove, and then we're gonna play the drum fill. 3, 4. Now, you're obviously not gonna play it that often in a song, or I hope you don't. But what we wanna do, remember, is hit the problem area. So we're making a feedback loop of 1 measure, and what we're doing is we're playing the groove, the fill, the groove, the fill, because the problem is not the drum beat, and the problem is not the drum fill. You can play both of those. The problem is putting them together in that transition point in between them. Now I'm gonna play 2 measures. I'm playing the drum groove for 1 measure, then groove for half the next measure, and the drum fill. And I'm gonna change voices, so we're adding a crash cymbal into this as well. Here's what that's gonna sound like. 3, 4. Once you get to where you can do that, then maybe we want to take and add a second groove. So for the first 2 measures, I'm going to be playing the money beat. For the second 2 measures, I'm going to be playing We Will Rock You, which we learned on lesson 2, day 2. 3, 4. When going in between those drum beats, we want to make sure we have 100% success when we land onto the new drum beat. So immediately it's 1 and it doesn't take us 2 or 3 beats to get into the new drum beat. You can also mess around with the voicing around the drum set. All of those I would consider Pat Boone, Debbie Boone. Now, I told you this drum fill is used all throughout November Rain by Guns N' Roses. So it's a really good song to learn it with, but we're going to be learning the drum beat for that song in 2 more lessons. So don't quit on the process. We've learned half of the song. Now we need to learn the rest of it in a couple more lessons. Be sure to follow the link in the video description to jump over to the website where the course is all laid out. You don't have to log in. You don't have to enter any information. You just jump over there and the course is laid out there where you can mark things complete, as well as all the resources like the playlist with all of these songs is also on that page. And if you need help with your drumming, you want to take this a little bit further, I have a pre-made lesson plan in the members area of my online drum school called The Warrior Way. And it takes you from 0 to hero very quickly if you'll just plug in and practice each day. Now tomorrow, be sure to watch the next lesson, because in that lesson we're learning a drum beat. If you learn that drum beat, you will know 5 more songs. That's right, that'll bring the grand total to 13 songs in just 5 drum lessons.